Hello, everybody. I'm on the call. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Okay,
evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
good evening. So, I want to thank you for the opportunity of having me. I don't take it for granted. I'm sorry I was cut off when you were talking about the association, World Class Girls, but I believe it's a very noble thing. I think I heard what you said were your aims and objectives, and I think it's a laudable thing. So this evening, I've been charged with talking to us about building healthy relationships with wisdom and purpose. And I consider this a very big privilege. I don't take it for granted because I believe that you people are women of substance. I don't see you as girls. I see you as women of substance. I see the future presidents. I see governors. I see heads of parastatals. I see great entrepreneurs. And I am privileged to talk to you tonight. So, if I can do justice to the three key words in this topic for tonight, I think that would be great. So, our topic says building healthy relationships with wisdom and purpose. So, we talk about healthy relationship, we talk about building, and we talk about purpose and wisdom. So, let's look at relationship. So, I know we've heard this story of Ubuntu, a group of children in Africa that someone dropped a packet of sweets and now said the first person that will get to the sweets will take everything. And instead of the children to speed up, they all held themselves and ran, and they all got the sweets at the same time. And when the person that dropped the sweets asked them what was that, and they answered that this is the spirit of Ubuntu. I am because we are. So, having said that, relationship is very major for us as human beings. It is one of the aspects of the image of God that we have. So, for those that believe in the Bible, we know that God created man in his image. And so, one of the aspects of the image of God that we have as man is the desire for relationship, wanting to be in relationship. God is family, God is love, God lives in a family of love. So, as human beings, we want to be loved, we want to be in relationship with people. And remember, when God finished creating Adam, he said something profound. He said, "It is not good that man should be alone." It is even more important for the woman. Relationship is even more important for the woman. And when I was trying to prepare this session, I remembered something. And that thing was that, remember, the devil came to Eve. Like I said, if you don't believe in the Bible, just listen to it as stories. But if you do, awesome. Let's roll together. Remember that it was when Eve was alone that the tempter came to her. So that's even why relationship is more important for the woman, because outside the relationship, the woman can get tempted away from her purpose and from her plan. And that's why women everywhere, we all form families. That's why there is world class girls, and I don't think I've ever heard of world class boys. There is, you just come to the village, don't want this, don't want that. Where are the men? I don't Relationship is king for women. So women anywhere they are, they're already forming daughters of Abraham, daughters of this, that. So women will always form family. So family is very important for the woman. So, because that's just the nature of women. And when we talk about relationship, we talk about the relationship of a woman with herself, with her fellow women, and then with the opposite sex. And let me say that one of the purpose of having gender, sex, different sex, is for the purpose of forming the ultimate bond, which is marriage. Okay? So I am very happy with the organizers of this program, thinking that yes, women need to be taught how to form relationships, because from the small organizations and relationships that we are in, we learn how to eventually be in the major relationship which we are called to do, most people, and which is marriage. And I don't want any world-class girl to trivialize marriage and say, what is that? Marriage is not an achievement. Marriage can be an achievement. So I don't want any of us to trivialize it, because it's a divine need. So relationship is a divine need. So don't ever, on the altar of being woke, on the altar of wokefulness, you now say, I don't need anybody. You need somebody. You need people. If for anything, learn from Eve. The moment she was alone, something went wrong in her purpose. So women need relationships. And so if we are going to form healthy relationships, one of the things that will make us to be able to form relationship is to identify ourselves. You cannot be entering into relationship if you don't have self-identity. The fact that people imagine that you're going to discover yourself inside the relationship is not a fact, it's a myth. Thinking that you're going to discover yourself maybe when you are already in a relationship, it's a fallacy. You must identify yourself. You must know who you are. And a healthy relationship, just as we are talking about, is a relationship where self-identity is preserved. If a relationship does not preserve your self-identity, that relationship is an unhealthy one. If you have to disappear at any time so that a relationship can exist, then that relationship, the dynamics of that relationship is an unhealthy one. Be it a relationship with your fellow girls, if you have to be a friend with any girl and the only way that friendship can hold is that you have ultimately disappeared, then that relationship is an unhealthy one. So you have to know who you are and preserve yourself. But how can you preserve what you don't know? So if you don't know who you are, how exactly can you preserve yourself? So in order to enter into healthy relationships, in order to be able to build a healthy relationship, you must answer a question. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? I don't know how many of us have taken our time to answer that question. Who am I? A lot of times, if I ask young people who they are, they end up telling me who people told them that they are, who their parents told them that they are, who their friends told them that they are, who maybe social media told them that they are. Okay? Some even answer who their enemies told them that they are, who their competitors told them that they are. But have you tried to ask yourself, who am I? Who exactly am I? What is my inherent worth? Supposing everybody in the world disappears and I'm alone in the world, what is my inherent worth? What are my unique strengths? What exactly is my role? What did I come into this world to do? Sometimes we don't know that each and every one of us has a role in God's design. What is my purpose? So if we do not answer these questions, you find out that there may be nothing to preserve in relationships. Many times, young women, they just continue to live their life anyhow, anything goes. They don't even know who they are, because you don't know who you are. You don't know who you're looking for. I was having a conversation with one of my daughters, I think that was yesterday, and she was telling me a story of a girl that was given a card to shop and shop anything, and the girl didn't shop, and she told me that she didn't like what the girl did, that if she was the one, that she would have used the card, bought plenty things and all that. And I asked her, is that your real self? Is that what you would do as your real self? Or is that what you think a normal girl should do? And then somehow a concept entered into my mind. And I started telling her that let's assume that we are colors and I am a purple person. But because I feel that purple is not so bright, I begin to show people that I am a red person. I will end up attracting red people to myself. Meanwhile, I am actually purple. I will end up attracting people that love red to myself. Meanwhile, I'm actually purple. And then when they get attracted to me because they saw red, what happens when I now show them my real self as purple? There is conflict. So we need to understand who we are. What is my inherent, who am I? What are my unique strengths? Because a lot of times I've seen young girls, they meet a man, and you see a talkative girl, she meets a man and she suddenly becomes dumb. And the man thinks, oh, this girl is so calm, she's so quiet, she's so this, she's so that. And eventually, maybe the man now marries her. And then suddenly she starts talking. The man goes like, oh, she has changed. We must answer these questions. Who am I? Now, if we fail to answer this question, the problem is that if you later in life, after you have made very big steps as it concerns relationships, say for instance, you are eventually married, and you now begin to answer the question, it may lead to resentment. I have friends that are currently on the journey of self-discovery. When they now finally discover themselves and see that, oh, it's like I married down, they start having problems and it leads to resentment. Okay, so you must answer this question. What? Oh my God. When did you lose me? Hello? Hello? Are there other people that can't hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, Mom.
Okay. So you may check from your own end. So I was saying that it's important that we understand who we are. Now, how can we understand who we are? We have to go through the journey of self-discovery. In order to understand who we are, we have to go through the journey of self-discovery. I was saying earlier that many of us, the things we know about ourselves are things that other people told us, things that our family members told us. We have to go through the journey of self-discovery. Discover our femininity, discover our temperaments, discover our love language. By the way, by temperaments, I mean your nature. Then discover your personality. Personality is a mixture of your temperament and proper nurture. Why do I say proper nurture? I say proper nurture because a lot of us have been distorted by experiences that we have had in life. For instance, a girl that would have normally been very outspoken, But because when she was growing up, people just kept telling her, you talk too much, you talk too much, she just ends up slowing down in talking, and then she appears to people as a quiet person. Meanwhile, both from her temperament and if she had adequate nurture, she would have been an outspoken, elegant person. And so such people walk about with what we call personas. You're walking about, that person that is walking about is not your real self. A lot of us have passed through traumatic experiences. For instance, people are dealing with what psychologists call father wound. What is father wound? Father wound is something that happens to a young girl when her father is absent, either physically or emotionally absent, or when her father is always criticizing her, or when the father is abusive. Okay, so you see that a lot of girls that we see today, that we say, oh, this girl behaves somehow, what is wrong with this girl? She's always conscious. Some of these children are suffering from father wound. Some of them are suffering from father wound. And how can you identify girls that are suffering from father wound? They are always seeking for approval, constantly seeking for approval from people, especially from boys. And they always tend to settle less than God, approves for them, less than God's best. There's always this fear of being abandoned. They have trust issues, and they are overtly dependent on the male gender, especially for approval. So I don't know, when people have this type of wounds, you see that they may be thinking that that's how they are, that's how they are. I'm not a very bold person. But you know that that is not your real self. So in order to enter into very healthy relationship or build healthy relationship, you must realize that any experience that you had in life that denatured you, you have to heal from it. And for those of us on this call that may have had such experience of having a father that is either absent physically or emotionally, or a father that treats them badly, talks back. One of my friends was sharing with us over the weekend of how she used to mix L and R because of I don't know, maybe that's the way her tongue is or something. And so whenever she starts talking, the father will just tell her, that's in English, that what are you saying? Will you get her from this place? So it shuts her up. She doesn't like talking. So that's an example of how a father can wound a child. And so for people that have had not so very present fathers, one of the things that can help you to heal is by finding a father in the Heavenly Father. Is one of the things that helps young ladies to discover themselves. Yes, your earthly father may have failed you, your earthly father may have distorted you, your earthly father may have not been available, your earthly father may not have been the ideal father that you would have wanted. One of the ways you can heal and begin to develop a better sense of self-worth is to realize that there is a father in heaven. And that father in heaven loves you. That father in heaven is always present. That father in heaven will always provide for you. That father in heaven will never leave you nor forsake you. So when you remember that there is a father in heaven that will never leave you nor forsake you, you're not agitated. Because one of the things we see about children or young ladies that go around with father wound is this agitation of, hey, what if I stand firm on myself now? Will he leave me? Will he, that fear of being abandoned. So you need to reassure yourself that you don't need approval from anybody, because there is a father in heaven that approves you the way you are. You don't need anybody to tell you that you are beautiful, because your father in heaven has said that you are beautifully and wonderfully made. So other things that can distort a girl is when girls feel that they are not enough, like girls that have very low self-esteem. So having low self-esteem also results from things that have happened. Like my younger sister, when we were growing up, she was a twin. And when we were young, you know, chubby babies used to be in vogue. I don't know about now. So that my sister was slim and her twin sister was fat and chubby. So the tendency was that when people come to carry the two of them, they'll just focus on the chubby one. To the extent that one of my aunties, she will even be telling her to her face that this one, Ejima Nka Maroma, that's for those that are not Igbo, that this twin is not fine. Let me carry the twin that is fine. And that my sister developed a kind of complex, you know, because of that. So sometimes you may also develop some level of low self-worth or rejection because of things that you have heard people say to you. Oh, you're not, you're too fat. I remember one girl that when we were in UNEC, she was slim, but every day she would jog from the hostel to the gate 3 times, 4 times. So one day I asked her, why are you doing like that? She said she's very fat. I'm like, where is the fat? She said that that's what her family members used to call her ujujuleju, that she's too fat. So because of that, she heard it so much, and she was almost becoming anorexic because her family members kept you know, making fun of her as a young girl. So such people, if one of the things that this is one of the things that can distort a young girl, low self-esteem, because of what you have heard, even because of the social media narratives. Social media believes that it's only people that are tall, people that are slim, people that are fair, people that have big hips, and that's why you see a lot of young girls out of low self-esteem. They are doing all sorts of things to themselves, tucking in their buttocks and bringing out their breasts and all that out of low self-esteem. And you see people with low self-esteem, you see that they are people pleasers. They find it difficult to say no. The same with people with fatherhood. They have fear of being left alone, and they accept disrespect, okay, and they keep trying to seek for compliments. You wear clothes, you keep asking, is this clothes fine? Is this clothes not fine? Is my hair fine? Is my hair not fine? Low self-esteem. And you see such girls, they feel that they have to pay in order to be loved. And that's why when a man does something for you, you cannot just collect that thing and say thank you. You think that you must pay the man with your body. So these things are signs of, you know, traumatic experiences that young ladies have had when they were growing up. And it has to, you need to walk on the journey of self-discovery. Is it really true that I cannot be loved? Is it really true that I am not beautiful? Is it really true that I am not worthy of being loved? I am not worthy of relationship? Until you identify your inherent worth, that your value and your worth comes from the fact that first, you are a human being. You are a human person. Second, you are a female, a woman, a feminine creature created by God, worthy of love, worthy of anything, able to achieve any height that you set your heart to achieve. You cannot be in a healthy relationship. People with low self-esteem and low self-worth can never be in healthy relationship because they can take insults. They never think about themselves. They never, you know, so anything goes. They don't have boundaries. So there are other things, other traumatic experiences that we may have experienced that have distorted our image of self. Like people that were raped, people that, you know, were abused, even homes that are dysfunctional. Maybe people that are from broken homes. So you've seen a lot and you have been destroyed emotionally. Okay? Even your birth order can be something that will distort you in healthy relationship. There's something they call first child syndrome. So you see that the first child most times is parentified. The first child becomes a parent, and nobody takes care of the first child because the first child is busy taking care of every other person. And because of that, the first child becomes unable to sit down and receive love, unable to build relationship. So if you've been through all these kind of things and more, you must take the journey of self-discovery very serious. Discover who you are. Who did God call me to be? Is this is what is my worth? What am I supposed to, bring on the table as it concerns God's purpose, God's, big picture of humanity? What is my role? What are my unique strengths? So you must answer that question when it comes to self-identity. Because what you think is your identity may not be your identity. You may be walking about with a persona, and then if later in life you discover who you really are, and by then you've made mistakes by entering into relationships that were not for your purpose and for your process in life, you would have seen that you would have made a lot of mistakes. So you must take that trip. One of the things that you take away from this seminar is taking a trip of self-discovery to know who am I, what my authentic self is. And if there is anything that has distorted you, you journey on wholeness. You can just tell yourself, yes, all these things happened, but I survived. And allow yourself to breathe and allow your real self to emerge. One of the things I did was to go back to, because I'm blessed with a very retentive memory. I had to go back to my early years and find out who I am really. Before all the you talk too much, all the going to secondary school and people telling you all sorts of things that will bring you down happened. So you may need to take that journey now. And luckily, you people are young people. So I believe that you'll be able to enter into yourself and go through that journey of self-discovering who exactly you are. So when you talk about self-discovery and self-identity, one of the myths that people tell women is that a woman has not is nothing. A woman does not have church. A woman does not have whatever. A woman does not have village. But if you identify who you are, identify your purpose, you will know that a woman is worth anything. A woman can be anything that she puts her mind to become. Now, in the journey of self-identity, one of the things that will help you when you make this journey of self-identity is to ask yourself, what are my inherent values? What are my values? You must ask yourself that question. What are my values? So if you don't discover what your value systems are, then you will just be living your life anyhow without values. So in this journey of self-discovery, it's very important that you ask yourself, what exactly are my values in life? From where is my center? Where is my center? I don't know how many of us have read that book, 7 Habits of Effective People. So if you've not read that book, it's very important that as a world-class girl that is aspiring to be something very big in life, you have to read that book. So you find out that people operate from different centers of their lives. People operate from different centers of their life. So some people operate from people-centeredness. So if you're a people-centered person, people determine what you do. People tell you who you are, determine what you do. So if you want to plait your hair now, and this hair, you ask yourself, what is in vogue? What will people like? And even if the hair is paining you, it's not really what you want, but because people want it, you end up doing that thing because that is what people want. Some other people live their life based on money centeredness. If they are taking a job now, or even when they are entering into relationship, the first question they will be asking themselves, how much will I make from it? This man that is coming to marry me now, this boy that I want to date now, what financial implications does he have? So you see people live their life from money centeredness. Other people live their life from possession centeredness. So they just keep asking themselves, what will I acquire? What will I get? So if a guy comes and drops maybe a car and other things, they are home and dry, because that is the center of their life. That's where they center their lives from. For some other people, you need to read that book, pleasure centeredness. Oh, hey, this guy is not fun to be with. This person is not fun to be. He's so dry. Why do I have to be in a relationship with this person that is so dry? Why do I have to be in a relationship with this person that doesn't have social life? Because you are a pleasure centered person. All that you are thinking about is pleasure. Some people is, and we've talked about people centered. Some people is enemy centered. There are people that are enemy centered. You are dating a guy. The only reason why you want to date that person is so that your friend will see that you are able to catch, your enemy will see that you're able to catch a big fish. Enemy centeredness. All you're doing, maybe this one happens more in the village. You are marrying this person so that the people around will know that you can marry an abroad husband. So as you journey on self-discovery, you must ask yourself, where exactly is my center? Your center is the place where you take decisions from. So you cannot talk about relationship without talking about your center. Where do your decisions come from? What determines what you do on a normal day? If I place 2 jobs before you now, what will determine how you make your choice? If I place 2 human beings beside you now, what will determine which of these people will be your friend? But I tell you one thing about these different centers. None of them can stand the test of time. If you're a people pleaser, your decisions will not stand the test of time. Look at what happened to Jesus on Palm Sunday. People pleasers were busy screaming, he's the king, and praising him and singing Hosanna. By Good Friday, the same people were singing what? Crucify him. So you cannot build a healthy relationship if you are a people-centered person. Because what people can decide varies. It does not stand the test of time. How about if you're money-centered? Money is such a thing that does not last. So if you build your relationship based on money, supposing money disappears tomorrow, that means that relationship will no more be held and the relationship will fizzle away, just like the center has fizzled away. There are people that build their relationship on possession. So if all these centers that we talked about, friends, enemies, there are even people that are church-centered. There is a difference between church-centered and God-centered. I've seen people that, because they were church-centered, they refused to be friends with a particular person because they are church-centered. They are not God-centered. There are people that are self-centered. And in any relationship that they are in, all that matters to them is, what will I gain? I. Remember the story I told before, that you exist, we are, I am because we are. But there are people that is not their way of life. They are because they are. Nothing like we. If they're in anything and that thing is not going to be of any value to them, they will never do it, because the center of their life is self. So where can the center of our life come from, and it will head to a healthy relationship? If your life is centered on principles, if your life is centered on a value system, that is the only time you can build a healthy relationship. So as you journey in self-discovery, you must ask yourself, what are my core values? What are my core values? What are my, and when you look at your core values, choose them. You can choose 3, you can choose 5, you can choose 6 if you have not chosen any. When you choose your core values, then every relationship that you are going to enter into will be based on your values. Relationships that are not value based can never be healthy. Now let us not imagine that you are in a relationship with somebody because the person happens to be your neighbor. The people we call our friends are people that we were in the same class with, or people that, I met this person, we've been friends from primary school, from secondary school, and so those things are relationships, but cannot be solid relationships, healthy relationships. There are people that you meet, but you still have to have a choice, and that choice is building that relationship based on your values. I'm sure you've seen people, husband and wife, boyfriends and girlfriends, that you will just be wondering, so what did this woman see in this man? What is the connection between this person and this person? You can't see it. But when you want to build a healthy relationship, your healthy relationship has to be a relationship where you have values that are either the same, similar, or complementary. For instance, you cannot be somebody who faith is your value and you go for NYSC, and when you get there, you now meet somebody that his faith is completely, you even meet somebody that does not believe in God at all. You meet somebody that doesn't believe in God at all, and you say you want to build a healthy relationship with that person, or your core value is honesty. Then you enter into a relationship with someone, and the person, from the person's name to everything that the person will ever tell you, is complete lies, and you think you can build a healthy relationship with that person. It's not possible. So as we are talking about building relationship with wisdom and purpose, it is important that we determine inside us, what are the things that really matter to me as a person. It doesn't matter what it is. Your values can be a whole lot of things. You can be, if your value is fun, pleasure, it is your value. You're welcome. If your value is leadership, you are welcome. So when we are saying values, we don't mean that they have to all be honesty, integrity, kindness, and choose your values. Determine what if your value is financial independence, it is your value. So your value cannot be financial independence, and you're entering into a relationship with an slave that doesn't have a job. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So for your relationship to be a healthy one, it has to be a value-based, a principle-based relationship. So you have to sit back and determine what matters to you. And what matters to you is what matters to you. It's not based on what people have to say. It's not based on what social media is saying. It's not based on what the trends are saying. It's not based on what the algorithm is saying. It's not based on what other people are saying. It's based on, sometimes we do things You will see somebody, the shoe you're wearing is pinching you and you're still wearing it, and then you want everybody to be, you want us to pity, and you keep telling us we don't know where the shoe is pinching you. If the shoe is pinching you, remove it now. Why are you wearing it? So the point I'm trying to make is that you have to enter into yourself and determine, these are my sets of values. And it's not a judgment zone based on who you are. Determine what your values are, and when you are now choosing your relationship, you will base your relationship based on that. And from that, we want to talk about another myth, the concept of falling in love. What exactly is falling in love? Because one of the things that we tell ourselves as young people is follow your heart. If this relationship makes your heart, go like butterflies, you're so happy about the relationship, just follow your heart. That's what we tell ourselves. And what exactly does it mean to follow your heart? When we say follow your heart, we mean, if your heart is doing you like butterflies, and this other relationship, you're not really getting those butterflies from it, just follow your heart. What does that mean exactly? Now, I tell you what happens when people fall in love. The in-love experience is something that happens when you see things in the subconscious. You can actually see somebody now and you fall in love. What did you actually see? If your conscious mind is asked what you saw, your conscious mind may not be able to say exactly what it saw. But I tell you what the subconscious mind sees. The subconscious mind may either see familiarity. Maybe, a guy behaves like your daddy or like your brother, or like somebody that you naturally admire, or the person is displaying qualities that you would have wished you have and you don't have it. That's why they say opposites attract. For instance, you're a quiet person and you are just somewhere, and then this guy comes in, he's so assertive, so talkative, and he's talking to everybody and cracking jokes, and something sparks off inside you. You're like, God, I like this guy. I so like this guy. So that's what happens in the subconscious. Why exactly does it happen? It happens for the purpose of libido. Libido is sexual attraction that God puts into each and every one of us for the purpose of procreation. So that falling in love experience is something that sparks off in the subconscious. It is that desire to bond. And when you bond, the next thing that follows a bond is procreation. So that's what happens. That's what libido is. The desire to bond. The desire to bond. So when you see that thing in the subconscious, your subconscious tells you, this is a mate that I can likely bond with and procreate. So that's what that falling in love experience is. What exactly is it? It is a raw material. It is a raw material. Just like you're not going to carry raw petroleum and pour into your fuel tank. Just like you're not going to go to the market and buy yam and start eating the yam. Falling in love experience has to be subjected to common sense. And that's why our topic today says building healthy relationship with purpose and wisdom. That experience is a raw material. You cannot just marry somebody or date somebody, somebody becomes your friend just because when you see that person, your heart does really, and you want to follow the person. That really is a raw material. It is something that in the subconscious you have identified, this person can be a possible mate. What are you supposed to do with it? You are supposed to subject it to choice. You are supposed to subject it to reason. And on the altar of reason, there comes your value. And so when that person comes closer, you see the person, maybe in the subconscious, you'll be like, I thought this person was like this. The person is not really like this. You give up. It is not real love. It can never be. If you are in that falling in love experience, the person becomes perfect. When I counsel people during pre-marriage course, and I ask you, what do you like about this person? You cannot pinpoint the things you really like about the person. You're just telling me, oh, this person is just a perfect human being. Oh, I will know that you are still operating in falling in love experience. And that person is so perfect, and because the person, if two of you are having the same experience, what happens is that you release some hormones, and those hormones make you to do things that are impossible, things that you will not naturally do. For instance, if you are a stingy person, you will see yourself giving the person things generously. Okay, if you are a crazy person, you see yourself becoming quiet and conforming to the desires of the person. But like I said, no healthy relationship is built only on the falling in love experience. A healthy relationship is built on proper love, intentional love, volitional love. When you see the person, you see that both of you are sharing the same values, and that is the table from which love is built. I tell you, most relationships that continued and entered into permanent relationships from just falling in love experience, except they notice that eventually that they share common values, most of those relationships tend to degenerate. And the falling in love experience cannot last more than 2 years. That experience, those feelings, a lot of times within 1 year it has fizzled away. And if it fizzles away, it gives room to the more concrete love. And when that more concrete love comes, and you see that loving this person is impossible, that degenerates into an unhealthy relationship. So in order to build a healthy relationship, you must identify yourself. You must discover yourself. You must preserve yourself. Any relationship that makes you not to preserve yourself is an unhealthy relationship. And I want to conclude by saying that one of the things you must do as a source of self-preservation is having boundaries. As a human being, you must have boundaries. You must know what your boundaries are. You must know the things that you can do. You must know the things that you cannot do. Why are boundaries important? Just like the physical fence protects you from thieves, protects you from abuse, protects you from attack, that is how emotional, social, and psychological boundaries protect you. So you see that a lot of people, young girls, you see them, they don't have any boundary. Whatever a man, in fact, I met a young lady one time, and she told me that she thought that once a boy tells you that he loves you, that it means that you should give yourself to him. And she had that belief. I don't know who told her that. And when in fact, she was ashamed to tell me how many people she has slept with because of that belief. And trust guys, they just go and tell each other, go and tell her that you love her, and she will agree to sleep with you. And she kept. So when she was asking me, you mean somebody can love you and you will not sleep with the person? I told her yes. And she was surprised. So as a person that is gearing towards entering into a healthy relationship, you must build boundaries around yourself. And those boundaries will protect you. The reason why a lot of girls enter into abusive relationship is because of lack of boundaries. Because any person that does not want to maintain your boundaries is already showing you red flag. And that lack of boundary will continue. Don't imagine that the person is going to change when you get married. No. That lack of boundary will continue. So if you know what your boundaries are, put it around yourself and know that No is a complete sentence. Ability to say no is something that you must develop as a young person if you want to build relationship. I've been asked to round up. I don't know if moderator, I don't know if I still have time. If I do, tell me how many minutes I have. If not, I could round up on this. Tomorrow we continue.
Okay, ma, you can continue for like 5 minutes.
All right, awesome. So I was saying that as one of the principles of self-preservation is having boundaries. You need to put boundaries around yourself. Tell yourself that this and this and this, and for instance, one common boundary that I encourage young girls to put, depending on your values, is no premarital sex. So when you are entering into a relationship with a guy, for instance, and the guy begins to pressure you, I want us to have premarital sex, I want us to have sex, how can I know you if I don't sleep with you? That person, and then because you don't have boundaries, you agree. You know what will happen? That is how you have lost yourself, and you will not be able to maintain your boundaries later in life. You will not have a say, and when you don't want to do certain things, that unhealthy relationship person that you are in a relationship with will pull out the card of submission. Meanwhile, submission does not mean slavery. Submission means I am able to say no, but I choose to say yes. Submission means I am able to say no, but I choose to say yes. So you find out that if you are unable to have boundaries around yourself, anything and anybody will walk into your space and do anything to you. And then the next thing I want to say before I round up is that as somebody that wants to build a healthy relationship, you must empower yourself to be able to say no. You must empower yourself to be able to say no. And that means that there must be elements of self-reliance, self-sufficiency. You cannot enter into a relationship and hope that is a healthy relationship when you need that relationship for survival. You cannot be in a relationship and that relationship is needed for your survival, and you tell me that that relationship is a healthy one. It can never be. You must be. A lot of women lose their voices because they are unable to say no. And one of the things that makes a woman unable to say no is not having sense. Not having sense. When I talk about having sense, yes, financial literacy is part of it, but it is not the only thing. Because I have seen women that are rich and are still in unhealthy relationship. So it's not just about having money. It is part of it, but it's a lot more. Having sense is more important. And having sense means being able to know what something will become. Being able to know what something will become. That is where your topic says wisdom. Wisdom is being able to know, oh, this guy is handsome, this guy is rich, but he's not the guy for me. That is wisdom, because you have looked at him, you have discussed with him, you have percussed him, you have assessed him, and you know that, oh, it's true that this guy is top, this guy is handsome, this guy is rich, but he is not the right one for me. Because wisdom knows that later, you have seen things that will make him not to be the right person for me. So if we must have a healthy if we must build healthy relationships with ourselves, with our fellow ladies, and with men, the opposite sex, that will eventually lead us into marriage, we must be whole. We must be whole. And being whole means that, nothing that we are able to, we can stand alone. Let us not imagine that we enter into relationship for completion. No. It is two whole individuals coming together in relationship. So if you are not a whole person, relationship will even worsen your insecurity, worsen your problems. But if you are whole, then you are somebody that can build a healthy relationship. I want to stop here and take questions. Thank you very much for having me.
The question is, what is the biggest mistake young people make when building relationships? And the second one is, if you could leave us with one principle to guide all our relationships, what would it be?
Okay, thank you. So, the biggest mistake, I don't want to say that any mistake is bigger than the other, but what I will consider having, I prepare people for marriage, and one of the biggest mistakes I've seen young people make is choosing relationship based on what others will say. So I've met a lot of, especially girls, so they come and they are so bothered about what their friends will say. You know, you meet a guy, you want to date the person, you want to, and you're dating because you want to marry, or you want to marry somebody, and their concern is not themselves. Do I really like this person? Does this person align with my ideas in life, my values? They are choosing that person because they don't want they don't want their friends to say. Maybe you are, for instance, an example that comes vividly to my mind is a girl that, when she had two people, she wanted to make up her mind, and one of the guys was a graduate and not so rich, but you could see that this is a young man that has a plan for his life. Then the other guy was not a graduate, was an amateur person, a trader, and the young lady was a graduate. Now, and when I asked her, put yourself in a room, put off the lights, forget every other person, and think of yourself, which of these two men will you choose? And in all sincerity, she wanted the younger young boy that just finished from university. That person was more like what she wanted, but she had already accepted the other guy because her friends think so. And I see this very commonly. I don't know if it's the biggest mistake, but it's the commonest that I have seen. So if you are in a relationship not because of what is important to you, but because of what other people will say, or because of what is in vogue, or because of, so it's a very it is a big mistake, because eventually what relationships are actually is that something like marriage, the real marriage happens at night when the lights are off. When the lights are off, all you will remember is the person's values, the things that the person does to you, the things that how the person makes you happy. All those other things that light brings on, you will not be able to see it. You will not be able to see cars. You will not be able to see those your friends that made you to marry the person. You will not be able to see any other thing. You will just be with that person alone. So the biggest mistake, or the commonest mistake rather, is doing a relationship because of what other people will say, not necessarily because of you. If I am to give one principle to guide our relationship, I would say that we should build value-based relationship. That's what I would say. Value-based relationship. If you build relationship based on other centers, that relationship is very likely to be unhealthy. That relationship is very likely not to lead you to your purpose, because when you're choosing your values are supposed to be in line with your mission and your vision. So your mission, your values are supposed to be in line with your mission and your purpose. So every of us have a mission. We have a vision where we see ourselves. So if one principle, and one of the things that helped me is that I asked myself, where do I see myself in the next 20 years? I had a lot of suitors. In fact, the person that was doing my heart really, one of the things that made me not to marry him was that each time we just gist, and he would drag me out from my I was in final year then, from my posting, and I'll be missing postings because of him. And so one day I asked myself, what am I even doing? What exactly am I doing? And then he now said, if I marry you, you will not work. Oh. You will just be a housewife and you'll be following me around. And my vision is to be a neurologist. My vision is to be a public speaker. And I'm like, what am I doing? Following this man that has told me that I will not work. I had to stop. I had to pause. So one of the guiding principles that I would leave for you is ask yourself, in the next 20 years, where do I see myself? If you see yourself as just somebody wearing bomb shorts and frying plantain in a rich man's house, that's fine. But if you see yourself as something bigger than that, then that should guide your relationship. Until you draw your mission statement and see your vision, where do you see yourself at 40? Then you make a mistake. A lot of times, girls just marry the next available person or date the next available guy. In fact, I remember one painful one that happened when we were in school. So there was where medical students, we stayed 8 years in school. So some of us started getting married in our final year, and we went for one of us traditional marriage. So all of us that were in that ashebi were already dating people for marriage. So the only lady in our midst, so she was just telling me, hey, Chiamaka, Chiamaka, see, all of you are engaged. This person is married, this person is engaged, this person is engaged. It's only me. And I was telling her, what does that mean? There is nothing like that. Calm down. You won't believe that night, somebody proposed to her that night, and this lady accepted. That night. And this was, when we were in school now, people that are in fecams were very good Catholic girls. We know the Protestants, very calm people. Then we still know the bubblers. We know those that are just, And there was nothing in common between these. And I was telling her, Nne, what are you doing? And the painful part of it, I don't know whether she even became pregnant that night. Honestly, I don't know whether she became pregnant that night, because she had her baby before the person that we went for her traditional marriage. So, and I don't know where they are today, but unless their values have eventually merged, I don't know. So one of the things I will tell us is, look at yourself, picture yourself in the next 20 years, and guide yourself accordingly when you're making a choice. Thank you very much.